Hi, welcome back to episode 30. Happy you guys are here. And so today, what are we going to work on today?
Well, today we're going to go through a very critical phase of the life of Yeshua. The famous baptism in the Jordan River.
Right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Fine.
So in the previous episode, we saw a quick visit of Yeshua into the monastery of Qumran, where he had to face people who are a little bit crystallized and stuck into their old religious beliefs. You remember?
Right.
Yeah, that didn't go too well. He had to spend his time with a donkey to try to find some pieces.
Yeah, that's right.
And so after that, he left that monastery, and now he's on his en route to the Jordan River, and he's looking at the Jordan River, which is also called the Yarad at that time, and he's admiring the green patches of which are near the river. Okay, because all around the river it's basically just deserts, and kind of a reddish or yellowish rocks and cliffs,
Kind of like, I kind of like maybe like Arizona or something like that.
I would say probably like Egypt, where
Egypt. Oh yes, okay.
The Nile River brings a lot of life and fertility for the plants, but all around it's all desert. Yeah. So he's observing the meanders of the river, and a voice behind him calls, and we're gonna try to
he always meets people in these voices.
We're gonna try to transcribe or
he
reproduce
runs into more people and places.
that little dialogue.
Yeah.
And a voice says, "Hey, where are you going?" And Yeshua turns around, and there is a small group of Roman soldiers, about 15 of them.
Those aren't the people you want to run into.
With their pilum, the spears in hands.
Nice.
And so Yeshua says, "Me?"
Like, who are you looking at?
And the decurion says, "Yes, you. You don't see that there are not enough people? You don't think that there are not enough people already? Are you coming for the crazy?"
Oh. Crazy.
And so, yes, it's exactly what Yeshua says, the crazy. Yes, over there. And don't try to fool us. Why would you come to this lost place? And Yeshua responds, I'm just traveling. What is wrong with that?
Just walking through.
And then the decurion again said, "Do not stay here. That's all. Order of the procurator. He does not want an Herod either."
What does he mean by that?
Well, what we have at this point is that the decurion is telling Yeshua, that the procurator, Pontius Pilate, the prefect in charge of the Palestine province, do not want people to be with the crazy. We're going to find out who is the crazy.
I'd like to know who the crazy is.
And then the emperor, Herod, doesn't want that either.
Oh,
So
okay.
obviously they have been telling the Roman troops, And so at that point, Yeshua is going to look into the eyes of the decurion,
Uh-oh.
And it was not a provocation,
Yeah.
He was just wanted to see and feel, perhaps touch whatever humanity was left in that soldier shell.
Shell, yeah.
Shell,
Was there anything left?
And actually there was not much, because the decurion quickly lowered his gaze and tell his troops to move away.
He probably couldn't handle that.
Couldn't handle the look of Yeshua, So it was again the first time for Yeshua to be facing the Roman power, the last time he did it was at the age of 6 years old. Right. When he wanted to rejoin the Carmel School of Mystery. He was reviving a mule, and the Roman didn't like that. And so this is like the second encounter.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he's not really impressed by them, And we have to say that the Romans have been in Palestine for more than 80 years.
Oh my goodness.
So the whole country has been colonized and controlled by the Romans for more than 80 years.
This time. And then somebody else will come in.
After that.
It's always...
And Yeshua is thinking, after all, they are just men like anywhere else, strong and weak, looking to dominate, but really lost inside themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeshua is going to get closer to the river, and you see that there is a group of men and women who are sharing some food, and they all look very tired and weary, And he does not stop to talk to them, and he crosses the Yarad to meet the man who is on the other side. And that man has very long hair. He's covered with ashes and a very dense beard.
Oh.
Okay? And Yeshua can see that there is a fantastic aura which is surrounding him. And Yeshua recognizes his cousin, Yohanan.
Oh, so he's the crazy.
He's the crazy. Yeah, Yohanan. And so for our audience who are, perhaps more into the Bible and the scriptures, Yohanan is the original and the true name of what is known in our time as John the Baptist.
Oh, okay.
Okay? But I think we will again keep the original name. And so after crossing the Yarad, Yeshua walks toward Yohanan, and Yohanan is actually facing someone else, so he's not seeing Yeshua. Okay. But he feels like
somebody's looking at him.
10 to 15 feet away, Yohanan turns around and faces Yeshua. And, there it was, finally. He knew he would be coming, but he didn't know when.
Yeah.
And at that point, Yeshua, again, being transformed by the Christic energy that is overshadowing him, does not feel any emotions, but he still has a tear running down his cheek. And so Yohanan asked him, Yeshua, is it you? I cannot believe it. I mean, the last time they saw each other was when...
They were kids.
Yeah, they were
teenagers.
Teenagers. He was 13 and a half.
Yeah.
Yes.
You changed a little.
Yeah. So, and now he's 31. So,
it's a little different.
So Yohanan is really shocked. He's unable to say anything or make any move. And at that point, seeing that he's paralyzed, Yeshua takes Yohanan in his arms, and after all, they are family, right?
Right.
And a second later, Yohanan is escaping the embrace and is prostrated on the ground, holding the ankles of Yeshua.
Oh.
And crying.
Oh.
And around them, suddenly everybody is silent and is watching the scene. They feel like there is something special happening. And Yeshua tries to lift Yohanan, you know how he doesn't like to be to be revered like that, So, but Yohanan still remains holding his ankles and crying, and there is no way he can do anything.
Yeah.
So finally, Yeshua decides, okay, I'm gonna kneel down. And he's places his gaze into the eyes of Yohanan, and until he stops crying. And then both of them starts laughing, finally. And the whole group around them also, starts laughing too. It looks like the laugh is being communicated. Yeah. And they are not understanding, but they are very happy with the outcome.
Well, it's contagious, right?
Yes, it is.
Contagious laughter.
Yeah. It's like when you yawn, right?
Yeah.
It's all contagious.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Yohanan finally stands up and let his joy explode. He's so happy. And Yeshua tells him, your beard became very long. And you must not wash your hair very often, my cousin.
It's full of ashes.
Let's go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, for our audience, Yohanan is, I would say, raw in his presentation, but Yeshua is always, beard well trimmed, hair combed, and everything, and his robe is always immaculate.
Impeccable.
And so a few people are starting to follow them, but Yeshua is making a sign and telling them, no, we want to be, we want some peace. We don't want anybody around us. Yeah. And poor Yohanan is still under the shock, and he cannot speak. So Yeshua starts telling him about his life, the past 18 years that he has been traveling, his long journey to India and the Himalayas. And he's not sparing any secrets. I'm sure he's telling Yohanan about his
all the encounters,
initiation in the Great Pyramid as well. Yeah. And Yohanan also in turn tells Yeshua about his life, as well, and their exchange continues very late in the night time. Yeah.
It's a lot of time to have to catch up with things.
So we know what Yeshua has been doing for the past 18 years, and again, we invite the audience to go through all the previous episodes if they want the details. But on the Yohanan side, he has been staying in his neck of the wood and the surroundings of the Dead Sea. He didn't move much, And what it tells Yeshua is that he had been calcinating his soul, He has screamed so much to mobilize the heart.
Calcinate, what do you mean by that?
It burned. He's literally burning his soul, trying to change people, teach them, and baptize them.
Baptize them.
Baptize them, yeah. So finally, he takes Yeshua's hand, in his hand, and he says, I'm done, Yeshua. It's over for me, my brother. Right now, the master came to see me today, and I recognize him, and it's you. Your time and the time of Awun are now starting, Yeah.
Okay.
So Yeshua remains silent, He knows his cousin is right. He knows that somehow Yohanan is going to have to step back, and Yeshua will have to step forward, and take the lead. Yeah. And suddenly, while they are, reminiscing all this stuff, suddenly Yeshua has a vision from a long time ago. And his eyes are staring at Yohanan's eyes. And he says, Ilya, do you remember? And Yeshua relived an old moment, a previous incarnation with Yohanan, where Yohanan was the prophet Eli.
Oh, okay.
Eli. Yeah, and Yeshua was his disciple. At that time, he was called Elise.
Okay.
Elise, right? So in a cave, and they were both near the old Carmel monastery at that point. And they were living there, at that point. And Yeshua tells Yohanan, one after the other, Yohanan, we teach each other. So
I teach you this time, you teach me next time.
So this was a lifetime when Yohanan was actually the teacher, and Yeshua was a student. Yeah. And so after a while, Yohanan, returned to the group of people he's teaching on the shores of the Yarad River, and Yeshua, on his side, finds a little nook on the sand, surrounded by the laurels, and he falls asleep.
Yeah.
In the morning, something strange happens. The hands of Yeshua are secreting honey in his palms.
Oh.
So honey is oozing out of his palms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So since there is a lot flowing, he's drinking that honey,
Yeah, what else is he going to do? Exactly. Might as well eat it. Yeah.
But the honey keeps pouring. And Yeshua understands that what is living inside him, is inviting him to eat and have a decent breakfast.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It knows just as much how much honey he really needs.
So he's going to put his two hands, next to each other, and a flat bread appears between his hands.
He made himself a honey sandwich?
Yes.
Okay, that's
and he's
amazing.
very happy. Honey and bread, life is
awesome.
good.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, a moment later, Yohanan is dripping with water, comes to see him, Yohanan never stops baptizing people, so there is never a dull moment for
revolving
him.
door for him, huh? Wow.
And then Yeshua tells Yohanan, go back to your students. The timing is not there yet. Maybe 2 days, perhaps 3 days, but when the time is right, I will come to you. Do not worry.
The planets probably have to be lined up.
Exactly.
Right, or
something has to be lined up. Yeah. And in the meantime, after Yohanan went back to his group of people, and it's an endless group of people who are coming to get baptized, Yeshua decides to walk, and his mind is obsessed. He's obsessed with the strange machine we talked about during the initiation in Egypt.
Oh.
You remember the three priests from Heliopolis?
Yes.
They pulled out a very strange machine which has been designed by Atlanteans with the help of extraterrestrial, where there was 7 spheres, right, all imbricated into each other,
Right.
and they were aligning. They were moving by themselves. And in his mind, Yeshua can see that the little sphere, which is representing him, is not exactly aligned yet. So he has to wait a few more hours or maybe a couple more days
Okay.
before the
Was
the timing
he
is right.
getting that vision of it? Or
He's
something?
getting the vision.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And those spheres we know are announcing another important conjunction, right? Some kind of planetary alignment or some kind of opening that must take place at a certain time for him. And Yeshua is going to walk far away toward the Red Mountains, which are located on the east of the Yarad River. And at one point, a young girl with worn out clothes come to him. She comes to him. And she's surrounded by a flock of sheep, And Yeshua from a distance sees her brilliant aura. Which, it's not surprising to see a brilliant aura, but he thinks that there is something else to this girl,
Right.
And the girl talks to him, and she said, "Oh, it's you." And Yeshua responded, "It is I. The time is approaching, isn't it?"
I know who it is.
And then he's telling the girl, telling the young girl, "Is it Elohim that is sending you?" And she responds, Who else could it be?
Yeah, okay. I had a feeling.
Yeah. So, again, for our audience who are not familiar, I know Elohim, again, is this extraterrestrial presence that is overlooking and watching and protecting Yeshua during all his life, making sure that the plan is unfolding.
Right, like it needs
happening
to be at
the
the
way
right time.
Exactly. Right. And so Elohim has been overshadowing that young shepherd, and he's talking to Yeshua through her.
Oh,
That's what happens, yeah. And so Yeshua is going to work closer to these young girls, and while doing so, he enters what feels like a drop of water and light, an enormous, like a bubble of light.
Okay, so he
and
kind of
water.
walked into her
aura or
aura.
something,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And at that point, he's completely alone and far away from all the noises of the countryside. I mean, it's totally silent. And the voice of the young girl captivates him. And she says, inside the bubble, she says, Sananda, Sananda, which is, maybe the audience doesn't remember, but it's cosmic name.
Right.
It's the name of his soul.
Right.
At that point, Yeshua feels pulled out of his body. So he's being jettisoned to another level. And the girl says, Sananda, watch the face of what is coming for the future generations of humans. And in front of Yeshua's eyes, there is a sun. And that sun is not our sun. It's not Sol, the name of our solar system.
Right.
Right? And that sun is it's actually the sun of his dreams, and it's a son of another reality. And Yeshua feels like he is a ray of that sun.
Okay.
And we're going to talk more about that sun in a little while, yeah. And then he goes inside the bubble, Yeshua, or whatever is left of Yeshua screams, Father. And the sun responds, where you are, there is no more a Father.
Okay.
You have to keep those concepts for the humans.
Yeah.
They do not apply where we
Yeah.
are.
Interesting, yeah.
Yes, and Yeshua realized that there is another force which is about to overshadow him again. Okay, so in a few minutes we will be revealing what is this sun, which is now, communicating with him. And Yeshua feels like it's an even more powerful force, an energy than the one which has been taking over him in the Great Pyramid.
Okay.
Okay? So, listen. And So let's talk about it. I mean, the sun that is actually talking to Yeshua is actually located far, far, far away, surrounded by myriads and myriads of stars and planets. So we will give the name a little bit later.
Okay.
And Yeshua at that point, feels like, okay, all my personality is gone now. I mean, it's cracking, it's crumbling, it's disappearing.
Well, it's probably like his ego, right? I think
Yeah, the ego, exactly.
His ego
yeah. The ego is pretty much over at this point,
Yeah, I can't imagine his.
And I'm glad you say that because we will talk again about the ego of Yeshua when he goes in the deserts and face the so-called devil, right? I mean, in the scripture, he faces evil or something like that.
Right.
But in fact, he's not facing evil, but he's facing his own ego. Yeah. Whatever is left of his ego,
Right.
Yeah. But we will talk, I mean, this will come much later, and we will give more details, And suddenly, after this realization of the upcoming sun, he returns to his body and he's facing the young girl, surrounded by the sheep. And it looks
back
like
again.
the experience is over,
Right.
And he asks the young girl, what is your name? And she says, oh, my name is Misra. And I live with my family over there in a tent. And then she says, you must be thirsty. Do you want to come with me? And Yeshua smiles and politely declines the invitation, And he says to the girl, my friend's over there, showing the river, near the river. And she says, oh, with the Messiah? Some are saying that he will get rid of the Romans.
Oh.
And Yeshua asked the young girl, do you believe that, you? And she said, I'm not sure. I only saw him once in the river, and he does not look very strong. And my brother says that he doesn't even have a blade,
Yeah.
My brother says
how is he gonna?
My brother said that it is better to go with the Iskari, who have knives, and more than that.
Right.
So again, for our audience, the Iskari are also called the Sicaires, because they were holding and carrying those curved blades as weapons, And they're also called the Zealots. I guess the term is more known by people, right? The Zealots, And the Zealots have basically created a group which is trying to, like a resistance group, trying to fight and resist against the Roman domination.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Yeshua asked the young Misra again, your brother wants to fight? And the young girl says, everybody wants. It is normal.
It's normal.
So that brings, some reflection to Yeshua. So he leaves the young girl and he starts reflecting on what she said, And after the incredible beauty of his personal vision, the inner vision that he just experienced. This adverse reaction of the Palestinian people, against the Romans, they seem like a fatality to Yeshua. This is not something they should be doing.
Right.
I mean, at least he doesn't see it like that. You see that those people, his brothers and sisters, are cornered in a dead end.
Right.
And they have this poison of revenge inside themselves, and Yeshua would never, ever go along with that approach.
Right.
For him, this is not the right way to do it.
It's not.
Yeah.
The whole revenge thing is...
The whole revenge,
doesn't work.
You sure about that?
I'm positive.
Yeah. I think it is. I think he's right,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeshua is walking back to the river, but he knows that the cosmic calendar is not exactly ready yet. He was given a glimpse of what is coming, but he still has to be patient. And, for the next 2 to 3 days, he's going to watch the baptism of other people, and he sees about 200 people are gathered, on the shores, waiting to get in the water in silence, most of them. And Yohanan is bare-chested, is in the water up to his waist.
Hair full of ashes, long beard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And using words or in silence, when people are coming to him, he grabs their shoulder one at a time and he pushes them under the water. So it's a complete and full immersion for a few dozens of seconds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You're down for a little bit.
You're down for a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
And he uses a lot of energy to push them, He's not very strong, but he has a lot of energy. So to Yeshua, all this seems very beautiful and simple, and this is the way it should be.
I agree. I mean, it's a cleansing, it feels like too.
Exactly.
Blessing, cleansing.
Exactly.
Right?
You said it. I mean, it is sacred, and it is comparable to what is called the mitveh in the Hebraic tradition, which symbolize the intra-utero life of the baby inside the mother's womb.
Absolutely. That definitely makes sense. I could see that.
And it also symbolizes the rebirth after death as well. Yeah. So, and he sees a lot of light emanated by the aura of Yohanan. So he knows that whatever Yohanan is doing has an impact on the other people,
Right.
It's
These are going to be Yeshua's people.
Most likely, yes. So, and he keeps looking around him, besides the river, and you see people, resting after their baptism, praying or exchanging a few words, And suddenly, among the crowd, he noticed the face of one of the three young men he talked to on his way to the monastery of Qumran.
Oh.
So I don't know if the audience remember, but in a previous episode, while walking toward the monastery, he met a group of three monks who were wearing the brown robes,
Yes.
Yeah. And I think one of them was called Samuel. We don't know about the other two, but well, it happens that one of the young men, his name is Eleazar.
Okay.
And the names come back to Yeshua's mind. I mean, suddenly he says, oh, it's Eleazar from Bethany. And actually, Eleazar is the brother of Martha, the maid of Uncle Yusuf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as you may remember, when he was with Uncle Yusuf, he saw Martha, and looking at her aura, he told her she had a brother. Eleazar, right? And here, Eleazar is right here on the shores.
That's so cool. I love that.
And Yeshua is thinking, and he's very grateful, and he says, oh, everything is unfolding as planned. So again, I don't want to unveil who Eleazar is, but Eleazar will play a pivotal role in the life of Yeshua in the future. Not only the life of Yeshua, but also the life of his mother, Miriam.
Okay.
Yeah. And, well, I guess we can say it. You will be the best and the first disciple.
Oh, okay.
And, well, I guess we can say everything now.
Now hey, it's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag.
After his initiation, his name will be John, Yohanan. He will take the name of Yohanan, which will be, in our modern times, it will be John.
So they changed their names after being baptized. Okay.
They not only not after the baptism, it's after an initiation.
Oh, initiation. Okay. Yeah, a lot of other religions do that too, right?
Initiation, which has been corrupted in the Bible and the Scripture under the name of resurrection of Lazarus.
Okay.
But it's not Lazarus; it's Eleazar.
Eleazar.
And he was not dead; he was simply having an initiation.
Okay. Well,
But
initiation, death, initiation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eleazar, Lazarus, it's a whole big mixture. Yeah. Yeah. So Yeshua, while still observing everything and watching, is going to wait for another 2 more days alone, praying and thinking. And he's wondering also if Yohanan knows exactly what is going to happen, And he thinks that, in fact, Yohanan has no clue. He knows that, Yohanan knows that Yeshua is supposed to come, but he doesn't know exactly what.
Well, he's focused on what he's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is probably the best, because Yohanan has to be the perfect instrument.
Right.
And to be the perfect instrument, you don't want to know ahead of time what will happen.
Right. You just have to surrender and trust.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so one morning, the famous morning, a voice resonates in Yeshua, and not in his head, but in all his cells of his body, His heart and his soul are ready. They have been ready for a long time. But now, the wake-up call for that new initiation is happening. And he gets up and he walks toward the Yarad where Yohanan is performing the multiple immersions, he's not the first customer for Yohanan. And Yeshua glances around him, and he sees Eleazar sitting on the other shore and watching what is going to happen. But Eleazar is not alone. There is also a very tall man on the other side, and that tall man happens to be one of the priests from Heliopolis that helped Yeshua during his initiation in the Great Pyramid.
Oh, so it's a big reunion here.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of those three priests came in that.
This must be a big.
Near the
this
Yarad.
must be a big deal right now, right?
Big deal, yeah. And after those two, he also sees some instructors from the School of Mystery, the Carmen School of Mystery.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a big reunion. Yeah.
And they are
That's
standing
awesome.
out because they are wearing their white robes. So obviously, a lot of characters have been gathered.
Yeah.
And have heard the call for what is about to happen. Yeah. So Yeshua moves toward the water, and he knows that at that point, his terrestrial identity is going to stop and disappear completely. Yeah. So even though the logos of the sun, which came inside him, when he was initiated into the Great Pyramid, it's already in him. Something even more powerful is gonna take place, and it's gonna again overshadow him and stay on top of the other solar logos.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Yeshua, mingles with a line of people who are waiting for their baptism. So he's, I guess, a lot of movies and paintings have been describing that, right?
Right.
Yeshua, waiting in line with other people. And he walks in the water, he's now facing Yohanan, and no words are exchanged. They need a perfect silence. And it looks like as if the entire nature suddenly became silent.
Yeah.
It's almost like the water stopped flowing. The birds stopped chirping.
Oh my gosh. And the world stopped.
And the world stopped, yeah. And Yohanan suddenly screams. He screams to everybody around. I'm telling you, children of the earth, this is the anointed one, the man that we have all been waiting for, the Messiah. Free yourself and follow him. The time has come for me to vanish. My path stops here.
Wow.
So Yeshua is full of light. He's completely overshadowed at this point, And it seems to him that everything stops. He doesn't even hear the words of Yohanan. He's like blind. And he feels the hands, the strong hands of Yohanan grab his shoulder and push him into the water.
Hold your breath.
Yeah, and at that point, the Jordan River swallows Yeshua and make him drink the fire and the essence of the fire, And again, it is very difficult to convey, his feelings at that point,
Right.
There is a little bit of a description given in the French book, but it's extremely difficult to convey in proper English, what is happening. And I'm a little bit sorry about that.
I guess sometimes it's hard to translate
It is,
things,
yeah.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is that it is pure silence, absolute silence under the water, and that's normally not what happens when you're under the water.
Yeah.
All the noise are amplified,
Right.
And Yeshua tries to grasp whatever is left of his identity, He's absolutely overwhelmed by the energy permeating every one of his cells. It's like, he feels like, even though he's under the water, he feels like his cells are just firing up.
Oh, really?
This whole body is turning to fire and light, And his pure love in the immensity of the cosmos is actually lost and tumbled in the cosmos. You know?
Yeah, he was getting a lot of energy and
Yeah.
downloads and
And after a long moment, after breath, Yeshua returned to the surface, and he looks at Johannes, and his eyes are away. He's not even present. So he probably.
What did you do?
Yeah, what did you do to me? You know, I mean, it's most likely Johannes has been also getting a big shot
I'm sure
of
he
the
is,
energy
too.
that
Of course,
went through
yeah. He was
Yeshua,
probably
yeah.
used. He was the
Yeah, he was the
catalyst.
conductor.
Yeah, the conductor. Yeah.
And slowly, Yeshua is going to walk back to the shore. The funny stuff, and maybe it has been rendered in some movies, you know, depicted in some movies, but he's opening a pass among the crowd.
Oh, everybody's moving.
Yeah, everybody was gathered around this incredible event, you know, and he's opening a pass. And some are even prosternating at his feet.
Oh.
Yeah, when he walks on the dirt. Yeah.
We'd be doing that too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And so a group of people are following him shyly. You know, the priests from Heliopolis, some Essenians wearing the white robes. There is also Simon, the son of the potter, and his wife Miriam. And again, for the audience, Simon is the author of the books we are telling you about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's the writer of those
He's the
books.
writer.
And there are also a few other people from his village and from the Carmel School of Mystery. Yeah. And everybody wants to be near him, you know. And finally, Yeshua, you know, goes back to his little shelter under the laurels, you know, and he's gonna sit. And inside him, you know, it's difficult to express, but it's like storm and fire and torrent and earthquake.
Lots of energy going
yeah,
on.
all at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
And he can feel that the veils of reality around him are cracking. They are crumbling, you know, they're disappearing.
Right.
You know, suddenly something else is given to him. So now for the people who like esotericism and who likes, you know, hermetic knowledge, I think the church, of course, has been completely unable to explain what happened, you know. They present that like a little dove, you know, flying over his head and they pretend, okay, it's the Holy Spirit, something like that, you know, coming inside him. But it's much more than that.
Yeah.
And so we saw that in the first...
Much more than a dove.
Much more than a dove,
Yeah.
and much more than the Holy Spirit, too.
Okay.
And so in the Great Pyramid, we saw that the logos of our sun, soul, right? That's the name of our sun, came into him, overshadowed him, bringing him to the Christic level, okay? So what this baptism did, and the timing, the cosmic timing, you know, he basically got the overshadow by a sun, which is an incredible power, because it sits at the center of our Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we can say that, you know, Sol, our sun, sits in the middle of our solar system, right?
Right.
And the planets are orbiting around it.
Right.
Right? So the same happens with the galaxy. The galaxy is also similar to our solar system, but immensely,
Yeah.
you know,
Huge,
much bigger.
huge.
Billions and billions of times bigger, right? And at the very center of that galaxy, there is a sun, which is, and we call it the central sun. Its name is Alcyone. And the central sun decided to send a ray to help Yeshua during his lifetime. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So,
beautiful.
yeah. So Yeshua has not only a ray from Sol, but also a ray from Alcyone. And this is what terminates and concludes, you know, is Christic overshadowing,
Okay.
what we call the Christic energy. Yeah. So again, I think it's important to realize that to absorb and to accept such energy into your body, you have to have a special
Vehicle.
Yes. Yeah.
Without a
it's
doubt.
not given
or
to
that
anybody.
it's been built up. I mean,
Right.
he's been going to
Yeah.
a lot of places. He's been receiving a
And
lot of things.
I think it's important to say also that the power that Yeshua has about healing and reading the aura, you know, and
Knowing what's on people's minds.
no, yeah, all this and manifesting physical things.
Yeah, that too.
He had them before.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Right.
So this Christic energy does not bring those powers to him.
Okay.
Okay, the Christic energy brings the energy and the fuel and the intelligence and the knowledge that he has to provide to
The masses.
the masses.
This
yeah,
is how
to
he's
his
going to keep
disciples.
going.
Yes.
Yeah. This is. Yeah. That's what he needed.
And we will see that during the crucifixion, this energy is leaving him, leaving his body. Yeah. But he doesn't lose his powers.
Right.
All
Well,
right.
that was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like.
I think it brings a different light on, what is so-called the so famous baptism. I mean, it's a
Right.
very important phase in the life of Yeshua.
Right.
I think it brings also some explanations about John the Baptist, Yohanan,
Right.
who is a fantastic being, extremely evolved, extremely
Extremely what?
evolved and,
Evolved. Oh,
and
okay.
capable. yeah.
Right.
Definitely a master.
Right. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. We know what will happen to him, but we will come back to all these details.
You know, I love the way Yeshua is just surrounded by all the right people,
Yes.
all at the
Yes.
right time, and I know he's in his flow and
Exactly.
total
Absolutely.
surrender,
Yeah.
like he was just
And
thinking.
the plan is absolutely unrolling and unfolding
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
planned. Yeah.
nothing's rushed.
Yeah.
Everything is as it
So
needs to be.
the important character that we met in this episode, of course, Yohanan, John the Baptist, Eleazar, who will become later John,
Right.
his first and main disciple, the most intelligent one. Yeah.
Wow.
So those two are
Okay.
critical.
That's really good. Well, thank you. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Peace be with you.